Saryn has long been viewed as one of the strongest frames in the entire game for good reason. I mean, truly, she has some of the highest damage output present across all the frames, and today, I'm going to cover how you can push that damage to its limits. While base Saryn's kit is strong enough to do Steel Path on its own, when introducing the Helmuthin and specifically Mesa's shooting gallery, we give Saryn the final thing that was missing in her kit, reliable hard crowd control. Look, I know that you guys know that I love this ability, especially when paired with Muzzle Flash, just because it gives any frame you use on it practical immortality, but it's even better on Saryn than most. Saryn's first, Spores, infects an enemy with said spores, which will begin damaging a target for an unlimited duration. Spores has three main mechanics in how it spreads to other enemies, grows in its damage, and decays. Spreading spores is relatively easy. All enemies initially infected will have these plant-esque growths on them, which if shot will spread the infection to all nearby enemies based off of your range stat. All spores on an enemy will burst to spread themselves if you either shoot them directly, kill the target, shoot anywhere on the target while Toxic Lash is active, or have another player kill them. Importantly though, the damage over time mechanic that spores have will not trigger them spreading. Even on death, it must be triggered manually. While Spores is active, you will notice a graphic has appeared over your weapons bar, indicating a few things. The first of those is their current damage value. Every second that Spores remains active will increase their corrosive damage by 2 at base per enemy infected, starting at 10. This does have a cap of 7 infected enemies, although Spores themselves do not. This does limit your damage growth per second in some capacity, while the ability itself is hard capped to 70,000 damage. Dealing corrosive damage, they also have a 50% chance to proc corrosion on enemies, which will reduce their armor. That of course does scale with strength. Next, with Decay, when 0 enemies are infected, your current damage will instantly be reduced by 20% and continue to decay at 10% of the total every 0.5 seconds until hitting your initial damage value. To counter this, just inflict 1 enemy with Spores. Rounding the ability off, recasting it while it is active will consume 20% of your current DPS, but it also has its energy cost reduced by 50%. Destroying Spores on an enemy does contribute to melee combo counter for whatever reason, and you can have multiple instances of Spores active with separate ability strength values, which is just odd and really not that important. Spores is very strong when paired with Shooting Gallery, as it can trigger Shooting Gallery's Augment Muzzle Flash. To briefly cover both, Shooting Gallery jams enemies' weapons by lashing out towards 3 different enemies every 1.5 seconds to create a radius of jamming. These enemies are completely immobilized and will stand there fumbling with their weapon, while the Augment provides you with even more crowd control, stating that on every 6 kills with Gallery active, your next shot will create a blind very similar to Excalibur's Radial Blind. This opens enemies up to melee finishers, can stun Eximus units, and will be procced even if playing alone. Yes, I know that it says assists, but you can increase the counter off of your own kills. To make Saryn even more invincible, we can make use of her second ability, Molt. General Saryn play without some form of crowd control relies too much on shield gate spamming for my taste, but it still serves a purpose here for those fringe cases where you do get hit, allowing you to completely refill your shields in a single instant cast as it has no animation, again making you practically invincible. This ability also sheds all status effects off of Saryn, replacing Rolling Guard while giving her a speed boost and a decoy which will draw enemy fire. Both of those are nice, but it's mainly the instant cast and shield gate we use this one for. Coming to her last ability here, and yeah, this is just one of the best abilities in the entire game, but also very complicated. Casting will imbue all of Saryn's weapons with Toxin, causing all of them to deal an extra hit of either 30% Toxin damage for weapons or double that at 60% for melees. These hits have a guaranteed chance to proc Toxin and scale incredibly oddly. Lash adds an extra hit of pure Toxin that scales with your weapon's damage on hit, which is applied before health and armor resistances. Toxin mods on your own weapon will also apply their own multiplier to the dot the Toxin produces, even if combined with other elements. Faction damage sources effectively triple dip here. They first apply to your weapon, then multiply Lash's second hit, before again multiplying the Toxin dots. This Toxin does not combine with other elements on your weapon, while status duration mods and Saryn's own passive will affect its duration. Lash is incredibly confusing, but also insanely strong. What I mentioned earlier about how Toxin mods apply their own separate multiplier to the dots produced off of the ability is incredibly important and introduces us to our Saryn build for today. Saryn's Augment Venom dose adds a shit ton of corrosive damage onto your weapons, meaning you're free to build them for viral and still get the best of both worlds. The Toxin damage that is a part of both corrosive and viral will buff Lash's damage even further than it says here on the ability screen, and when combined with a weapon with innate Toxin, like Kuva weapons or the Torrid, you can deal an absolutely insane amount of damage. The rest of her kit wants incredibly high range to scale both Spores and Shooting Gallery's areas of effect, yet we do not want to go too far into the negatives for our strength, so Transient and Molt Augmented will combine together to eventually bring us back into the positives. Because we want to use Molt for shield gating, Brief Respite gives us 150% energy to shield conversion, allowing us to gate in a single cast at base efficiency with Molt's cost of 50 energy. Since Saryn has an incredibly high base energy pool, Primed Flow increases that to a massive 850, giving us a comfortable amount of energy in case we get unlucky with our drops. Counteracting the negative duration from Transient is Prime Continuity, which increases the duration of Lash to just shy of 1 minute, and Shooting Gallery well above 30 seconds. But that does it for Saryn, everyone. I am chugging away on the armor strip video, which will be absolutely massive, so if you have a chance to go check out my Patreon or YouTube memberships, I would really appreciate it. You get some cool things like my next video early and a bunch of other benefits, like having your name alongside all these cool people. Alright, speedrun time. Thank you, Border Platypus, the Mad Monks, Catty Nose, Young Monk, Bad Robot, Jade Rabbit, Strike Stage, Pretend State, Rave, Calamity, Intellectual, Nessie, SOS, Nova, Megalodon, Boxy, Heath, Corrupt, GmbH. Damn. You think I could have said that any faster? That was such a spur of the moment thing. I wasn't even... This is what happens when I don't read off of a script, everyone. But regardless, again, thank you so much for your support, everyone. I may have some big news coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. But as always, everyone, I hope this video is informative and helpful, and I will see all of you guys in the next one. Peace!